Okay, so hey guys, welcome back to today's YouTube live session. It's me again. If you don't remember, my name is Eazel. You can call me Teacher Eazel. And for today's lesson, we are going to have an interview in English. Yay! Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. Just let me share my screen. Okay. Mm, eh, Okay. The, okay, there we go. That's what we're going to do today. Okay, so in yesterday's lesson, if you remember, we talked about work. Now we are going to talk about finding work. Imagine that you are looking for a job, and so I'd like you to tell me, how do you find a job? Okay, I'm gonna give you a couple of seconds to think about this question. Then I'll tell you some of my thoughts on how you can find a job. Mhm. Okay, so I can see that maybe you have a lot of thoughts on where you can find a job, like if you know someone from a company, um, you were being promoted, or you're being, no, not really promoted, but you are being um, recommended. Yes, that's the right word. Recommended. Thank you. You're being recommended by, I don't know, your university or your parents or something, and you have connections with them. But typically, I would say that most people would actually look for a job. Where would they look for a job? They would go to a job agency. Okay, very good. For those who said job agency, very good. Okay, so a job agency is a place that, of course, you can find that will help you, is a company that will help you find a job. And what kind of jobs can you find with the job agency? Any job, obviously, any job, any kind of job, whether it's permanent, temporary, part time, full time, or maybe your dream job. Okay, so yeah, now that we talked about finding a job, I have here an advert of a job agency called Find a Job. I'd like you to read it for a minute, then we're going to answer some questions. Okay? Give you a minute to read this text on the screen, and then we're going to answer some questions. I'm going to say the paragraph so that there won't be a long pause. Okay? All right. I'm going to only do it once. So listen carefully. Okay. Find a job. Let Find a Job help you find your dream job. Simply give us your CV and come in for an interview, and we'll find the best job for someone with your skills and interests. You'll get experience with some of the world's best organizations, and have the freedom to work how you want to. We can find you a job with a permanent or temporary contract, and you can work full time or part time. The choice is yours. Okay. Mhm. All right. So now that we've read the advert of find a job, we're going to answer these questions. Do many people use job agencies where you live? What are the advantages and disadvantages of using a job agency? Have you or people you know ever used a job agency? Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to, well, think of these questions, and then I'm going to tell you my thoughts on it. Okay? Mm-hmm. All right. Mm-hmm. Okay, so, well, in my place where I live, I think you could say that we often use like not really job agencies but like a third party site to look for a job, like for example, I don't know, live LinkedIn, for those who are familiar with LinkedIn. What else? In here in Spain, because I'm a teacher, we could actually use tus clases particulares. So it's like an app that helps you look for private classes. It's specifically for like tutor in any subject. So yeah, that's those are some websites that like job, not really job agencies, but like job third party sites that actually help you look for a job. And you can meet with like fellow um, people who are looking for a job or other companies that are looking for employees. So it's like it's a good way for you to um, find a job. And what are the advantages and disadvantages of using a job agency? I would say that, well, the advantage of it is you don't have to um, look for a company. It's kind of like you don't have to be the one showing your CV yourself. I guess it's like the job agency would do that for you. It's like, okay, um, I this is my CV, or this is my curriculum vitae, like with all of my information in here. And the job that I want is this. The job agency is the one who's going to look for this job for you. So it's not going to be you. In LinkedIn, it has to be you to find the job. And it's kind of like sad sometimes. I would say, I guess it would be sad based on my experience. It would be um quite difficult to find a job when it's just you by yourself. So that's the advantage of like a job agency. But I guess that the huge disadvantage of it is there's a third person in the middle. I guess you can't really see if you would fit well into the job because you don't. I guess you would still be interviewed by the person responsible, like I guess the manager or something. They would still interview you, but there's someone in the middle there. So it's like, oh, you were recommended. So it's like you didn't go through the process. And I guess that's the only disadvantage of it, in my opinion. I don't know. If you have more opinions, you can tell me in the comment section down below in the after this because this is pretty much a replay for other people. And have you or people you know ever used a job agency? In my case, I don't think so because I'm more familiar with like LinkedIn and those kinds of like third party apps, but not really an agency that's going to look for the job for you. So yeah. Okay. So now that we've after we've just talked about job agencies and looking for jobs, we are going to look at some statements here of someone actually who wants to look for a work, who wants to work rather in a in the service industry. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is to match numbers 1 to 6 with letters A to H, okay? And we're going to use number 1 as an example. So we have here, I've got experience in, um, let's do it as like matter of like elimination. Okay, so we're going to eliminate the answer for this one. Okay, so I've got experience in, what do you think? For those who said letter F, you got it right. So I've got experience in sales, administration, and catering. Okay, that's right. Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to um, think about the rest, and we will check the answers afterwards. Okay, so, oh, I'm sorry. We have all of the answers now there. Okay, so, right. For number 2, the answer is any of those. I'm looking for work in any of those areas, really. And then for number 3, I've got a certificate in food safety or catering. And then for number 4, I've been in sales for a year now. And then in number 5, I've always wanted to work for a big company. For number 6, I'm good at talking to people, I think. Then number 7, I really enjoy working in a team. And then for number 8, I'm not really good at working on my own. I would say that maybe some of these answers are kind of like hard for you to really guess. And what I would do usually in situations like this is I would do it as like I would eliminate the possible answers. But well, here we go. We have the answers here, and I could explain more about it, but unfortunately, we don't really have that much time. So I'm just going to get into the meat of the matter. And well, now that we've seen like some statements of like someone who wants to look for work, we are going to, oh, there it is. We are going to talk about how to present yourself in an interview. So we can use the ones that we've seen earlier to be able to make your self presentation more formal and like present yourself in a very efficient way. Since we have learned a lot in the past lessons, we've learned a lot about how to talk about your studies, to talk about your personal experience, your hobbies, and even, and also, of course, the work experiences that you've had. So this interview is your chance to present in an interview, in a job interview, it's your chance to present to your potential um, potential client or potential boss that you are the person fit to do that job. Okay, so we have some statements here. We can say, I've got experience in, and then you're going to tell in the example here, well, in the example here we have sales, administration, and catering. So you can like say what field of experience you have. And then I'm looking for work in, I guess, in that area, in the area of like um sales or something. I mean, or I could say in my case, I'm looking for work in teaching, that kind of thing. And then you can also say the certificates that you've had, like the studies that you've done. So I've got a certificate, and in my case, I've got a certificate in Bachelor of Arts, major in English Language Studies. And then you can also kind of like, another way of saying your experience is like, in I've been in sales like for a year now, like, and then you would add what we've learned before, like for a year now, or I've been in sales since 2008, that kind of thing. It depends on you. And then I've always wanted to, this is for you to say that, kind of like express why you want to like work in this company. So it's like, I've always wanted to, do this, that kind of thing. And then of course, to say your strengths, you can say, I'm good at this. Like for example, in the example we have earlier, I'm good at talking to people. That's what she said. Okay. And then I don't know, maybe you're very good at making presentations, public speaking, those kinds of things. You can tell them your skills here. And then I really enjoy, this is where you can tell more about your hobbies or something like that. And then of course, it's normal for companies to ask you about your weaknesses. So this is where you can say, I'm not very good at, and then you can just say your weaknesses. Like for example, in her exam, um in her case, she said that I'm not very good at working on my own because there are people who like to work in a team. In my case, I'm better at working on my own. So like, I'm good at working on my own and not very good at working with other people. But it's a personal preference, really. So, okay. Now, I'd like you to imagine yourself that you've managed to get an interview with Find the Job. Okay, so the job agency that we were talking about earlier. And I'd like you to think of your answers to these questions not 1 to 5. And okay, I'm going to say the questions. What experience have you got? What kind of work are you looking for? What qualifications have you got? What languages can you speak? And what are your strengths and weaknesses? So, if you remember earlier, I taught you some sentence starters to be able to answer these questions. So, I'm going to leave this for a few seconds, and then I'm going to give you back the questions. Okay? All right. Okay. So here are the questions. I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to just think of this and, well, tell me your answers in the comments down below. All right? Okay. So, yeah. Mhm. For you to practice. All right. Okay. So I'm going to give just to before ending this session, I'm going to give you some interview tips in case you actually get an interview with a real company. So first, you need to try your best practicing your answers. So we have questions here earlier of like possible interview questions. These are very, very common. It's highly likely for companies to ask you these questions. So what you can do is to practice your answers with these sentence starters that we have here. And then you can just do it in front of the mirror, and maybe you can record yourself so you would know exactly what you can do to improve your how you answer these questions. And then of course, don't forget to bring your curriculum vitae when you go there so that you have a copy and then your interviewer has a copy as well. And then you have to dress appropriately. So it has to be very formal, I guess, because, best impression, you have to impress the company as well. And then, and then overall, you just have to be very confident in like doing the interview. Be proud of yourself that you got that interview. And I know that you will probably be nervous about it, but I know you can do it. Okay, so if you have any questions about today's lesson, please write them down in the comment section down below, and I will do my best to answer them and give you more advice on how to improve your skills in English. Okay, and that's it for today's YouTube live session. If you want to do more exercises on this topic, you can look at the English Unlimited B1 Pre-Intermediate course book published by Cambridge University Press. And I thank you very much for listening, and until next time, bye bye.